4, 7. I don't know. I stopped counting. I know you are upset with me, but I need you to.
Not too many people, isn't it? Let's see if it's coming or not. You're new.
I am new, yes.
How long?
A week now.
Oh.
Yeah, just a
A
week.
week, and you already came to the 5th session? How?
No, I was just I just started to come since I've been here.
Oh, before your license.
Yeah, and I caught up on online on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah, so I just started watching it over the weekend and just caught up.
You caught up over
the weekend.
So not with him then? Like, I mean, not here.
Not live. This is my second one live.
Look at you. I'm new too. I'm like a month.
Okay.
But I was actually involved in a transaction, and it just got canceled today. Like my client.
Oh man.
Unfortunately.
How long you was in it?
No, it was like a cash deal. So.
Oh, okay.
But for me, that was new. But I'm new. It's like a lot of pressure because I didn't know what to do. You know, and.
You do it by yourself, or you?
No, I had a mentor.
Good.
Are you kidding? Commercials? I could do it by myself.
Awesome.
Well, the client is my husband, so you don't have to get.
Hey,
yeah, but he decided to cancel, and I was so upset with him. I said, "Are you kidding? I'm not talking to him."
Oh man.
After all this that I did, he decided, "Oh no, you know what? Yeah, I thought the cash deal actually it was a good deal."
Nice. What part of town?
Expensive. East Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was $8 million. So good commission there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he decided he wants to cancel it.
He'll change his mind.
Yeah, very upsetting. Hello, Malik, paano sala? So, شما خوبین برگشتین شما سلام. سلامتی خوب شدین. خدا باشم. تو خدا بکنید دیگه چیزا باشه. اختیار دارید. خیلی ممنون. Next. Thank you.
Let's go.
So you went on the link that they provide for the Zoom, right?
Yes.
Just go on that link.
Yeah.
And just top Ignite.
Yes. And then the stuff in YouTube, I should just pre-recorded. I kind of follow along with the course materials. That way.
But through Keller Williams, right?
Keller Williams YouTube, yes.
I have to try that link based on everything.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's a little longer, but what I like about it, I can just pause it. Right down. Right now. But I still want it because I just kind of like just want to do it. So I need to go through and read all the PDFs again to completely understand the course material.
You took your test now?
Took mine last month. Beginning of August.
It was hard to get in, right?
What's that?
Like to take the test.
When I set the date?
Yeah.
No, actually, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, just 2 months ago when I was trying to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put in a request and gave me some dates, and I just selected, gave me a whole bunch of dates.
So maybe it's not that bad anymore. Pretty fast.
Oh, are you talking about the application process?
Yeah.
Yeah, the application process was pretty long for me. Signing up for the date though wasn't.
Right.
You know,
Oh,
you
signing
just-
up the date for me
I don't know
was.
about your application, but it took like 3 months for them to get back to me.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
It only took like a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When did you send yours in? Was it during the COVID stuff?
No, it was sometime this year, and I got a response like maybe like 30 days later, and then I selected the date.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
How was your last couple of days since Monday?
Good.
It's good.
Really good.
Good stuff. Okay, we'll get started in the next 5 minutes. I just want to let a couple people on the who are also remotely tuning in to join in. I'm going to be going into the classroom again soon. Frankly, a little nervous about the whole, variant thing, so I apologize, everybody in the classroom. I'll be back in there soon. I'm probably going to wear a mask, but all good. But in any event, now's a good time to grab some water or coffee or something like that if you're at home. If you're in the office, there's free coffee in the kitchen area, and we'll get started around 11:10. Sound good?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Awesome.
When did you take the test?
I took it like a week and a half ago.
So was it easy to sign up? Like 2 months ago when I was trying to do it, I couldn't be,
Yeah,
wasn't
well, I
able to
drove
do
up
it.
to Sacramento.
Oh, you did? That's
There wasn't really an LA date that was close.
That's why.
So I wanted, because I went on tour over the summer, so I wanted like a full week to just really hit the books, and then go up to Sacramento. But for the LA times, it was like I had to wait a month or 2 months, which was too long for me. So yeah, I just drove up to Sacramento and spent some time there, took the test.
So you still waiting for your license to?
No, I'm all good to go. Yeah, passed the test and everything, so licensed.
I'm still waiting.
To get
The license.
The license?
I've been my application off. It's been
it
4 weeks
took me
now.
like 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
So you just kept checking the DRE website, or they send you something?
I called one time and they said it takes 3 weeks.
Okay. Cool. Hopefully I hear something.
Yeah.
on Monday.
Wait, so you already took your final test? Or?
The exam?
Yeah.
Yeah, I took it at the beginning of August.
Oh,
And
but
then I met off my application like a couple of days later. I'm still waiting.
You did your fingerprint, right?
Yes, last scan and everything.
You should be getting
oh,
it.
did you do the combo one where it's like the application and?
No, I did the last scan separate. So, but I nailed everything off together.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
This wasn't that bad. I heard about it. It wasn't that bad, was it?
The test?
Exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too
I mean,
bad.
for me, it was just kind of like a vocab test. That's how I treated it. So I just had like vocab words and studied that, and I guess I did fine in that. So it wasn't too bad.
Oh,
So who got nervous during their live scan test? I thought they were going to find out all this stuff about me.
No.
No.
I'm like, gosh, I wonder if I did something when I was younger and I forgot. Very cool. Glad to have you all on. Let's just get started. So I think we have a couple new people in the class. Today, we are definitely going to go over our numbers. Hold on, let me just close this window real quick. And so I'm just going to start at the top of my list from what I can see. Let's see. Ronald, are you new or? think you're on mute.
Oh, okay. I've been here for a bit.
Okay, just kidding.
Just join in as much as I can.
No worries. Perfect. How has your lead generation activities been going since Monday? Have you set up any new appointments, anything of interest that you want to share with the class?
Nothing really, just Beverly started really getting involved. So I got a couple of people talking to me about properties right now, 3 people particularly, just by post on Instagram pretty much, just be more active with my inner circle.
Yeah, totally. I love it, man. Well, keep it up. Good job. No numbers to report, just, kind of here and there conversations.
Pretty much.
Gotcha.
That's what it is right now.
No worries. Okay, awesome, man. Well, thank you. Thanks for joining again, and we'll rock and roll. Lita, Novin, and everybody, if you're new, just tell me you're new, and so that'll speed things up a little bit. Lita.
Hi, I just joined. So what was the question? Sorry.
Perfect. New. All right. So what we're doing right now is we're doing our daily 10-4, which means
okay.
we're going over. Well, do you know what the daily 10-4 is?
Yes, I know. But I meant I just joined the meeting right now.
Oh,
that's
perfect.
why I didn't know what is happening.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
no
so I just talked to many people. I already have 2 buyers, actually 3 buyers. But yeah, I haven't moved forward.
No worries.
Yeah, the number is just from last week, and I just talked to 1 new person. They all buyers, so I have to find them.
Perfect.
They're
Were you met somebody at the park?
What's that?
Were you the person who met somebody at the park last class or something?
Yes, actually, I met one person right now at the park, and she told me that I wanted to buy a house for this amount of money, and I got her number and email address, and I'm gonna send it to her. All we need. I'm gonna talk to a lender, and she can get her pre-approval, and then we can move forward.
Awesome, I love it. Good job.
Yeah.
And everybody,
Thank
just
you.
so you know, you don't have to necessarily be on the phone for 24 hours a day.
Right.
You don't have to be door knocking every single day. You can be with your kid at the park and, meet some people who may be willing to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. So good stuff. I love it. Awesome. Christina Breckner.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
So I'm actually still waiting on my license, but I have been doing some lead generating, like at my gym especially. So just letting people know I'm in the business now, and
that's why I'm a little bit late. I went to the gym and I got out of the shower. I'm like still sweating through my clothes right now because it was a hot shower. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway,
so
good stuff. Yeah, I love gyms. Gyms are great. It's a really great place to meet people, talk to people. Awesome. I love it. Good job. And yeah, for everybody who's just getting licensed or is about to be licensed or waiting on their test or et cetera, this is a great time to start getting the word out, because when all of a sudden it usually takes about 6 months from the original conversation to actually closing a transaction with an individual. So keep that in mind. Now, yes, I said usually it could take a week. I've dealt with clients where within, 1 day of talking with them, 7 days later, we're already writing offers. And in 2 weeks, we're in escrow. So it's not always the case, but in general, a lot of times it will take a couple months, for somebody to really get ready to pull that trigger. There's a lot of things buyers have to do, sellers have to do to, get the property ready. So now is a great time to start having that convo. If you do run into a situation where like, oh shoot, I'm not licensed, and they're really ready to rock and roll, you could always talk with an agent in the office and work something out with them and, figure something out that way, if that makes sense. Good stuff. Awesome. Okay, Alyssa.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
How are you new or do you know what we're doing?
This is my second class.
Okay, we didn't do this last time, so perfect. So what we're doing right now is typically we're talking about our daily 10-4, which is contacting 10 people, adding 10 people into our database, writing 10 handwritten notes or text messages or emails. That's my little caveat. And then also previewing 10 properties per week. But what we're focusing on right now is how many conversations, two-way conversations we had with people about real estate, and how many of those turned into actual leads. So on to you.
Okay. I haven't really talked to anyone besides like my family and friends.
They
But
count.
nothing yet. But I'm working on it.
No worries. And listen, I don't know if anybody remembers my first time trying to door knock. I literally threw a business card out the door because I was so scared to have the conversation. I was wondering, what are they going to say to me? They're just going to say no. They're going to slam the door in my face. Maybe it's somebody, some crazy person who lives here, you know, whatever. But the truth of the matter is, these are all self-limiting beliefs that we have in our own head. And the more we get into action, the easier it becomes. It's like going to the gym and lifting weights. It sucks at first, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, that's so easy to lift now, or that's so easy to run that, you know, distance now, or time that, etc. So keep at it. Good job, Alyssa. Awesome. Stephanie Sheridan.
Hey, I'm still in Iowa, and so technically on vacation, but I have talked to like 3 people I know in LA who could be potential listings. Nothing yet, but I come back next week to LA so I can really focus, but I've been kind of all over the place.
Are you bike riding all the way back, or are you going to fly?
I thankfully am not bike riding, but we are driving, so not
Good
looking
stuff.
forward to that. Thanks.
You know, it'll be beautiful though. Good stuff. All righty. Okay, I had a couple squares shift on me, so if I've already talked to you, I apologize. Chris Taylor.
Okay, yep. So I'm new to this as well.
No worries. So
Yeah.
you don't have to report right now unless you have something to report, but we're typically going to be going over how many people we've reached out to, how many two-way conversations we've had, and it has to be real estate based. Doesn't count if you just called somebody and said, hey, how's your day going? Okay, bye.
Right.
You gotta have a two-way conversation about real estate. But very cool. Awesome, man. Glad to have you on the call, and we'll kick some ass. All right.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. Desiree.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, on Sunday, I went to visit 5 open houses. And the good thing that happened there, that I met a very beautiful, very nice couple who are buyers, and they're looking for a house in Brentwood at Beverly Hills. And I asked them that if they have any actually an agent or not, and they said no. And I gave them my card that maybe they're gonna give me a call to become their agent. And then I went for door knocking in Westwood, around I think 30 houses. We door knocked, and it was great. And what else? And also already I have 2 buyers, and one of them is looking for an off-market house at the maximum 7 million in area 1, 2, 3, 4, Beverly Hills, Brentwood, Sunset, and Bel Air. Just wondering if anybody has any actually listing in their hands, please let me know.
Is there a minimum price point they're looking at? Like it has to be like between 6 or 7 million because it needs to be in a certain condition or you know, size or whatever, or they're like anything. Like, are they developers? Are they end users? Like, because I don't want to give you like $3 million houses that wouldn't work.
Actually, no. You're right. He's looking between, his budget is between 5 to 7, and he's looking for a modern house, at least 3 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms.
Gotcha.
Something luxury, you know. And
moving ready.
Thank you. And yesterday I started a text message to send text message to my contact lists. I started from A and I reached C.
Oh my gosh, you're killing it.
I kept sending lots of text messages to different people, especially to my previous clients from my previous jobs. And hopefully it will respond in the near future.
So for everybody who's on the call right now, what she's doing, we have, it's like I forget what it's called exactly, but anyway, you pick all the A's and all the D's, and then the next day it's all the C's and all the R's. There's a rhyme or a reason for it. I forget how they do it, but essentially you just pick the name and you go through your phone, and anybody whose name starts with that, you call them, and it just simplifies everything. Don't overcomplicate it. Like, oh, I shouldn't call this person. No, they're part of this name group. I got to call them. So good job. That's awesome. And frankly, we should all be trying to do that. I do that once a month. So do it. Okay, now people in the classroom. I'm going to go to the far left, the gentleman with the white tie. I think it's a white tie. How are you, bud? What's your name? I can hear you in the class. So got to speak up there a little bit.
So my name's Alan Ungst, and this is my second class. I'm a new agent, just started this week.
Attaboy.
And my numbers are 10 contacts, and I have 1 potential buyer.
Get it. That's awesome. And how did you get that potential buyer out of, just for the help of other people in the call?
Yeah, so I made a big Facebook post yesterday, and then someone shared that Facebook post, and through that thread of comments, someone was looking in Century City. So I just, messaged them, and we've been connecting and looking for a potential property this upcoming year.
That's awesome. Good job, man. That's awesome. Give a round of applause for Alan. Good shit. Awesome. And I forget your name, dear, in the lavender.
Roya.
Roya, how are you? Okay, so how many people have you contacted? How's that going? What's new?
Actually, not a lot. Just a couple of people while I was walking around the house. It's just that I was involved until today, which it's falling out of escrow. And I was really busy because I'm new too. It was a lot of pressure as it is. So I didn't really have a chance to do anything other than concentrating on that.
Gotcha. Do you mind sharing with what's happening in the escrow?
It was a commercial property, 8 million.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to take the contingency off on Friday. Today, the buyer, actually it's a relative, decided that he doesn't want it. So it's canceled. So for me, I'm new and I didn't know what I was doing, and it was help of Austin actually that I was trying to do this. So it was a lot of pressure, and I was, very busy with that. But today is falling off, getting out of this.
Listen, it happens. First time I've ever lost a listing was, oh shoot, my dog's throwing up. Archer, come here. Come here. Come here. Ay. Sorry, everybody. Hey, come here. Come on. Come on. I'll have to get that later. Anyway, I fell out of my first escrow for the first time just recently, and it was devastating to me. I was so upset. It was so annoying, but I saw the writing on the walls from the get-go. So sometimes there are just some clients, some deals, some whatevers. You can't do anything. It's just, that's the way the person is. That's the way, the buyer is. That's the way the seller is, or whatever. Or it's just, for example, like commercial, where it's much more business oriented. If the numbers work for them and they review everything and they start crunching the numbers, if it just doesn't work, they're going to walk away. That's very typical in commercial. So in residential, it sucks though. So, but in any event, good stuff. Sorry.
I think one of the problems was that the seller did not give us the information early on, just a few days before.
Yeah.
The buyer saw the numbers more than before.
Yeah, and that sucks. And frankly, that happened with me when I lost my deal. We were doing our inspections, and the seller, it's kind of similar. The seller was like, well, I'm going out of town. So I was like, oh, that's great. Just give me a key and I'll let them in and it'll be easy. Like, you won't even have to worry about it. Nothing will be touched. And then when you get back into town, all the inspections will be done. And she's like, I'm not letting anybody in my house while I'm out of town. I'm like, but they have a 10-day inspection period. Like they have to inspect it. Like, unless we do that, we're out of contract. And she kept saying no. They kept saying, what the hell is going on? And it ended up just being horrible. So it happens. So yeah, make sure when we're working with sellers, we are having them perform on time. So very good. Okay, moving on to the right gentleman in the front with the water bottle. Looks like sparkling water.
Holmes, new. I spoke with 15. I reached out to 10 actual contacts. I have 2 appointments. My mentor is actually on the phone with one of them right now. I did the caravan yesterday, and leaving one of the properties, a neighbor was just kind of like, she was just looking at everybody coming out of the house. And then she was looking and she looked away, and then she looked at me and then looked away. And I noticed that. So I just kind of kept staring at her. And then she asked me, do you think it was worth it, the house? And I gave her my honest opinion. I thought that house was overpriced. I said, but you know, the market in the area, they're going to find a buyer. Actually, was she interested in selling her house? And then she said yes. So long story short, she welcomed me into her house. We walked through the house. Did some casual conversation. House had a lot of character, very big lot in Beverly Hills, and got a number. And my mentor is talking to her right now. So her situation is her husband, it's her mother-in-law. She passed away, so it's not her house, and she does not want to list it, put on the market. But if we have a buyer, if we have people that's interested, then they will sell it. So that's
gotcha. Were they willing to do a single party compensation agreement, or I forget what it's called, but where it's just exclusive just for the brokerage? So if anybody from the brokerage comes, they'll at least give you a commission, or they're like, we're not signing anything if you have somebody bring them?
He's on the phone actually, the appointment was at 11. So he's on the phone with her right now, speaking to her. So he's going to update me in a few and give me all the details. So I'll know something.
And who's your mentor, if you mind me asking?
Rob Watson.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Yeah, he's very, very, very good at what he does. So that's great. I'm sure he will explain to her the benefits of listing it versus just sitting around and waiting. So that's awesome. Good stuff. All right. Is there anybody to the right of you, or my right, or your left? All right. The person with the hand waving, let's go with you first.
Hi, this is Pinar. I just got my license yesterday. I passed the exam. So,
hey, congratulations.
Thank you very much. So far, I talked to very close friends around me, around total 20 people, including my friends and my neighbors, some of my trusted neighbors. And one of my friends referred me to an investor company from abroad, which had a bad experience with the real estate agent. He charged them 12% for the commissions.
Wow. Oh my God. I either want to shake his hand or yell at him. I don't know which one to do. I mean, that's amazing for that real estate agent, but wow, that's horrible.
Turns out that people sold the house more than the value. Like, it's like there is some discrepancy. So they lost their trust and they were looking for a trustworthy person. So after this point, I'll be having an appointment with them most probably. And I have two friends planning to buy a house around January. So I made like how to say, like informal conversation with them for that. And one of my neighbors is trying to make an investment for his retirement. So I have like 4, let's say, potential things waiting.
That's awesome. Well, good job. That's coming out of the gates running. That's amazing. Good job. And I'm very intrigued about this person who charged 12% for the commission. That's
me too. Yeah, it happens. It's like, but they accepted it. I mean, you know, because they were foreign, they didn't know anything here. It happens.
Oh, wow. That's really shady. You know, I could understand being like, you know, this is a really difficult sale because of X, Y, and Z. I'm going to be investing this much into it. And because of my, you know, ad budget or spend budget or whatever, that's why I'm charging more, and explaining that or something like that. I thought it was like a really smooth talker, but it sounds like he was taking advantage of people who don't really understand how the system works here, which unfortunately It doesn't happen in our brokerage. It doesn't happen in most stand-up, brick and mortar brokerages, but it happens with a lot of the smaller, single man, or woman, brokerage kind of situations. And that's really unfortunate to hear. But that gives us a great opportunity to walk in and go, hey, we're upfront and honest, and this is how it works, blah, 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 blah. And it kind of gives us a leg up. So hate to hear it, but also works in our favor. So good stuff. All right. And I think there's somebody behind, forgot your name, sir. Hey, there we go. How you doing, bud? Hey, how you been?
Good, how have you been?
Good, good.
My name is Andrew Whaley. I work in the office as an assistant right now for Jesse Stamps. It's big on cash for keys, brokerage, commercial. It's kind of a hybrid. I don't have my license yet, but I'm getting it really soon, probably next month, I believe. So just trying to get my foot in the door early and the experience.
Awesome, man. We'll keep it up. You'll get it. I'm sure of it. All righty. Well, everybody, awesome stuff. Keep it up. Honestly, the name of this game in real estate is lead generation. Some way, somehow, get out there and generate leads. I'm going to share something that I'm going to be doing pretty soon as far as my lead generation goes. I'm having my very first annual client appreciation event, which I'm really excited about. So I'm inviting, I'm hoping for 30 or 40 people. But I'm going to invite 60, 70 people to this event. It's going to be an open bar. It's going to be free hors d'oeuvres, all that kind of stuff. We'll have music, good networking opportunities. I'm trying to get a special guest. I'm working on it right now. It's actually the person I was on the phone with before I got on this call. He's I'm not going to say who it is, but he's somebody in politics locally here in Los Angeles who's going to be running for mayor. And I thought it would be a great platform for people to ask them questions. So I thought that would be a value add. And anyway, but the point is I'm trying to get all my past clients and all of their friends and some of my friends who are thinking of buying all into the same room at one time, not really talking too much about real estate, but everybody knowing everyone who is there knows that they're there because of a connection through me. And by doing that, everybody who RSVPs, they have to sign up with their email address, with their, how many people are they going with. It's going to ask them for their plus one's email address, to send them a confirmation in case they're coming in separate, vehicles, and all that fun stuff. So I'm using it as a lead capture system. I'm also bringing in, a lot of my value as, I think I'm very loquacious and very personable and talkative. So I'm going to try to have all these people in one room. Have a lovely, lovely evening event with enough booze and food to fill anybody up and send them home happy. So the whole idea behind these kind of things is, you're trying to get into communication with people in the most natural way possible. So it doesn't feel like you're totally especially with friends and family. So it totally doesn't feel like they're being propositioned, so to speak. And now when you're on the flip side though, so there's that side of doing stuff when you're talking about friends, family, etc. I think events are a great way to do that. But then on the flip side, if you're doing cold calling, door knocking, direct mailers, that's where you want to be direct. It's okay to be prospecting, 100%. It's okay to be propositioning them. Hey, if you sold right now, you'd make a lot of money. That's fine because you really only have a window of 30 seconds. So you want to get to the point. But as far as friends and family and all that fun stuff, be social about it. Give them a call, ask about how their life is going. How are the kids? How's the family? How's this? How's that? How's work? And the second you ask that question, how's work? What's the next question that they're going to ask you?
How's work?
How's work? Oh, funny you should ask. It's actually going really, really great. I just closed a couple of transactions. In fact, this spring and winter and spring and early summer were some of my best years in real estate. It's just amazing how crazy the markets are. By the by, do you know anybody who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? I'd love to be able to help them out. I'm looking for new clients. And then they either do or they don't. And if they don't, that's fine because at least we had that conversation. So the next time they run into somebody, they go, you know what? My friend Jared, actually, I was just talking with him. He's in real estate. Maybe you should give them a call. Or maybe they'll give me a call and tell them that they just spoke to somebody who's interested in buying. So it's the name of this game, y'all. So keep up with it. But moving forward, we are going into Ignite Power Session number 5. I know it says 6 on the email, but we are 1 behind. I don't know if everybody remembers, but I had a cold one day and I was scared to come into the class. I didn't want to potentially get anybody sick, but I got tested and it wasn't COVID or anything like that. So host disabled participant screen sharing. Let me give a call into the office and ask them if I could share the screen because they got to make me host now. But does anybody have any questions or any ideas of ways that they could possibly lead generate that I could help them with or whatever while I'm calling the office? We're all pro, no worries. 1 second now.
Thank you for calling Keller Williams. This is Amber. How can I help you?
Hi, Amber. This is Jerry. Are you new?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hey, what's up, Amber? Hey, can you ask somebody if they could make me host on the Ignite Power Session?
Oh, yeah.
Thingy?
I thought I did make you host. Let me go back and check.
Meh, it's all good. Jared Medlinski.
Yeah. Okay, I'm confused why it's not.
It's all gravy.
Let me text Armand and see if he can help me. I'm so sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Absolutely. Cheers.
Totally thought I would make you.
It's all good. No worries. I'll get started. And whenever somebody's able to make me host, just send me a DM in the chat or something like that. Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jared. No worries. Take care. Cheers. Bye. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to share my screen right off the bat, but we'll just get into it. And this is actually great because then we can actually have a conversation about what we're talking about instead of just relying on what's on the screen. So in today's expectations, we want to study market fundamentals to discover the top pricing strategies for pricing any property. Learn to prepare a comparative market analysis, which is a CMA, that's how I'm going to be referring to it. So if you ever hear a CMA, what does that mean?
Comparative market analysis.
Boom, there we go. Come on, participation is key, y'all. That will easily support your pricing methodology. Learn pricing presentation scripts and pricing objection handlers that will benefit both you and your potential clients. Discover standards and techniques to deliver a great CMA and your price recommendation. This is one of my favorite classes. Why do you think this is one of my favorite classes? Because we're talking about what?
Money.
Money, yes. How much are we going to sell this damn house for? My neighbor sold their house for $3 million. It's the same square footage. But their house was built in 2020 and my house was built in 1957. Do you think there's a bit of a discrepancy there?
Yep, definitely.
Oh, big time. Oh yeah, big time. Huge discrepancy. So pricing is super, super important because every single potential client we talk to, especially when it comes to selling their house, is going to say, my house is the best house on the block. I have an additional 10 square feet in my closet. So therefore, I think it's worth another $100,000 more. I also have another, my property line goes 6 inches over to the left versus all the other property lines are 6 inches, inward. So therefore, I have more property. No, you really don't. I mean, yes, you do, but it's not really usable. So the point is that whenever we're going to be sitting down with clients, we're always going to be going up, not always, but most of the time, we're going to be going up against somebody who is really high in the sky with their thoughts of what they have. So it's important, frankly, to be able to have these conversations and to be able to communicate with them in a very concise way to be able to bring them back down to reality. Says KW Live is now the host. You are now the host. Yay, hooray. Now you can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so obviously we like to start off whenever we're going through these is handwritten notes and scripts and all that. Let's just get down into the meat and potatoes of this lesson. Get your head in the game. So this is the first one. So the truth about pricing, pricing has a large mindset component for both you and the seller. Your seller, obviously, I just said, is going to think their home is the best. Now, if you do happen to get that nugget of gold seller who goes, you know what? My house isn't that great. I get it. But I know that it's worth a pretty decent amount of money in today's market. I know I'm not going to get $3 million like my neighbor, but I was interested to see how much my house is worth. Oftentimes, we're talking about a couple of $100,000 worth of spread. It's not that big of a deal. So for that kind of person, oh my gosh, you're in luck. Thank the Lord, you're going to be closing something pretty soon. But for everybody else, we're going to have some conversation, and we're going to have to go back and forth a little bit and show them the differences between their product and the other products that are out there. Because to them, it's their home, but to us, it's a product. So we're looking at it differently. Just keep that in mind. Okay, pricing is a process. Learning to do it will also require knowing pricing strategies based on the principle that drives markets. It also requires knowing pricing tactics, building and presenting a comparative market analysis, and the scripts that go along with it. You will use your knowledge and expertise in pricing and presentation to win the seller's agreement on the list price, a price that will get their home sold. Okay, so let me ask everybody. We want to make sure that we find a house that is sellable. Do you really want to take an overpriced listing? Would anybody be willing to take an overpriced listing? Anybody?
No, probably not.
Probably not. Now, there are a few exceptions. Let's say you have, and frankly, there's a bit of a conflict of interest in this situation, but if you navigate it correctly, you should be fine. But let's say you have two houses in the same block and you're listing both of them. One of them is realistic in their price range. The other one is not. Would I still take that listing? Maybe, I might. And I'll tell you why in a second. But when you do that, though, you run into a conflict of interest. You might have one person saying to you, well, hey, how come the other house sold and mine didn't? Are you telling them that my house is better? Because it is. Am I? Not really, sort of. And in that situation, it's a little bit difficult. So that's why it can be a bit of a conflict of interest. But for most people, I would usually have a conversation such as this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, yes, I do have the other listing. They are priced a little bit lower than you. They feel that their house is not in the same condition as yours. They think that, maybe yours is in better condition. Frankly, they felt that if they could price their home competitively, they would be able to get out of their house quicker. For them, that works for them. And if I wasn't the one who listed the house down the street, another agent would have listed the house down the street, and it would have been the same situation that we're dealing with right now. But as you can see, this person is very, very serious about selling their house. And frankly, they're selling it at a price point that is much more obtainable for most buyers. Do you see why I was suggesting that maybe we should come in a little bit lower? And then we have that conversation. And frankly, sometimes it does help you get the other house to list a little bit lower. But keep in mind, you might run into a little bit of friction in that situation. So anyway, I digress. So, okay, make it happen, pricing. If I could have, who is reading along at home? Can I have Stephanie Sheridan? I have a feeling you knew I was going to pick on you.
I
did. Could you read Make It Happen and get down to determination of value and read the end of that?
Yep. Pricing is one of the absolutely essential real estate success skills. To become a pricing master, you must understand 1, how markets work, 2, local market conditions, and 3, pricing criteria. How markets work. 2 principles about markets and value provide a great foundation for pricing any real estate. Market dynamics. Markets operate on the law of supply and demand. When supply is high and demand is down, prices fall. When supply is low and demand is up, prices increase. Determination of value. Value is established based on an agreement between a willing seller and a willing buyer. The tug of war is always between what the seller wants and what the buyer is willing to pay. Oh, you're on mute.
Perfect. So let's talk about that. So market dynamics. Right now, and somebody can argue potentially that we're shifting, but right now, are we in a seller's market or a buyer's market? Who said sellers? Yes, we're in a seller's market right now. So right now, if we're looking at it, the supply right now for homes on the market is pretty low, but the demand is still extremely high. So we have a very amazing market for a lot of our sellers who frankly, the ones who are willing to do it are looking at making a lot of money on their investment. Now, why is it that we don't have more people listing right now?
Low inventory.
Yeah, but great. Which to a lot of people, you would go, why am I holding off? Why do you think they're holding off? And this, by the by, is a very abstract question because there's a lot of reasons and not one of them is the exact answer. So feel free to spitball with me here.
I think there's oh, go ahead.
New variant that's going on right now with COVID.
Yeah. Stephanie, what was your thought?
I was going to say there's a lot of maybe fear that the market could bottom out. And I know LA's a unique market, so that's not necessarily true there. But, and then also just if you live in a house, like what are you going to replace it with? And do you have the funds to, replace where you're living?
That was huge. So with what the last point that you just said, a lot of people, even if they're like, hey, listen, yeah, I realize this. If I sell my house right now, even including the capital gains, which is going to totally kick my ass when it comes time to selling. Even with that all said, if I sell for 2.7, I'm still going to leave with 2 million something or rather, in change in cash, even after taxes. So for them, that sounds great, right? But where are they going to move? Where, if they sell that house at 2.7 and they're going to move someplace else in Los Angeles, they're going to have to downgrade considerably, wouldn't they? Yes. So the big thing is a lot of people look at it like, unless I'm moving outside of the city, unless I'm willing to downgrade and take the profits, a lot of people are a little bit nervous to sell right now. So that's causing a lot of seller hesitation. Also, what was mentioned is the new Delta variant. Before the pandemic started, last year, it was sort of started, but we didn't have lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. I had about like $10 million worth of listings that were getting ready to just pop. They were like, you know what, this summer, let's do it. I'm ready to rock and roll. Makes sense. Then all of a sudden the shutdowns happened. The pandemic kicked into full force. Every single person who was willing to sell said, nope, 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 nope. And all of a sudden, what was going to be a huge year turned into a pretty good year, but I had to find business elsewhere. So the point that I'm getting at is keep in mind that market dynamics are often in flux and they could change within a month or two of each other. And it's our job to kind of try to advise people as best as possible. Now, for example, the person who says, I have nowhere to move, I would personally argue with them, of course you do. I would move into a condominium, purchase it for very low, live there for 6 months to a year. Once prices tend to correct themselves a little bit, which they will eventually, that's when you make your move. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But for a lot of people, that's a lot of stress. And unless their life is set up in a way that they can do that, it might be very difficult for them to even fathom or even wrap their mind around that. So anyway, now determination of value. Who establishes, in reality, aside from our CMAs and this house was built in 1970 and your house was built in 1970, you both have the same square footages, you both have the same lot, you both have the same view. Aside from that, who really determines value of a property? Is it us? Is it the seller? Is it the buyer? It's one of those three. One more time.
Buyers?
Boom, the buyers, yes. It's whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. I could comp out a house as much as I want, but if all of a sudden, the person who lived in that house when they were a little kid, who's moving back to Los Angeles for the first time with a big chunk of change in their pocket, to them, it might be worth paying $300,000 over ask price, even in a buyer's market. So it really depends on who we're dealing with and who our potential client is. Now, of course, we're going to recommend a price that makes sense for somebody, but in reality, the person who really determines value is the buyer. So we always want to make sure we're in line with buyer expectations whenever we take a listing. Make sense? Awesome. Okay, local market conditions. To price accurately and to sell, hold on, I need to minimize my chat bubble. To price accurately and price to sell, you must consistently study the conditions in your local market and the specific neighborhoods where you want to specialize. Here are some basic factors to watch out for. Inventory. How much is for sale, and is inventory rising or falling? Right now, people could argue that inventory is starting to go up a little bit, which is great for a lot of buyers, and frankly, some sellers, it might help them out a little bit because we're heavy on the the other side of the equation. Days on market. How long is it taking properties to sell? Price per square foot. A good comparative indicator of prices when a group of properties has common qualities and features. Changes in local landscape. Monitor changes in major employers, shoppings, schools, and other services in the community, and changes in local laws that impact housing. I was just talking to a gentleman who's running for mayor, and we were talking about, what's changing in local housing, what's happening with the homeless situation. And I was just talking with him recently via text, and, very interesting stuff what he's trying to do. So that's huge. We have an election coming up for mayor, so that could affect prices a little bit. Let me ask you this. Does anybody know of any companies that are moving into Los Angeles? And more importantly, what neighborhoods are they moving their businesses to? There's a big company that's moving to the West Side Pavilion right now, I'm thinking of. Google's moving to the West Side Pavilion. They've taken over that entire shopping mall. I don't know if anybody is familiar with it, but it's like Westwood and Pico. There's a big shopping mall that's being under construction. That's going to be offices for Google, and I'm sure a couple other companies as well, with retail and a little bit of like shops and food and stuff at the bottom levels. So do you think that would affect pricing in that direct neighborhood?
Absolutely.
Yep, definitely.
Big time. Oh my gosh. Before it's a great neighborhood. I love that neighborhood. I grew up in that area. But before, there was no big business that was in that location. If you worked at the studios, you're a writer, director, or whatever, you had to drive, into the studios, which is typically, either in, Hollywood or, in those areas. There's some, Sony is over in Culver City. Great. Other than that, I think you had UCLA. So a lot of professors and stuff lived in the area, but, professors make really good money, but they're not multi-millionaires necessarily. But if all of a sudden you bring a business in that has a lot of high level tech people who are working there, yeah, all of a sudden you're going to see people moving into a neighborhood with a much higher net worth that was, there previously. So that could really, really affect pricing in that specific location, even in a downturn market. That could affect local pricing. The beauty of Los Angeles is we have microcosms of economies in every single different neighborhood. It's fabulous. It's also frustrating. And frankly, it's very interesting. Okay, days on market. Does that affect things a lot? Sure. Days on market, you want to know exactly how long it's going to be on the market for. And if somebody says to you, hey, Jared, I saw days on market is 87 days on average, but I need to be out of here in 30 days. What are we going to do with our pricing strategy at that point? It's going to be a little bit different. Inventory, how much is for sale? That's huge. If you have a weird neighborhood that just has a plethora of homes on the market, for sale, yeah, you might have to be a little bit competitive when you hit the market. So good stuff. Okay, pricing criteria. Getting the facts about pricing means evaluating, a given property against other comparable properties. This means comparing your client's 20-year-old 3-bedroom, 2-bath property in a neighborhood of similarly built homes with homes that sold recently that match or come very close to matching the particulars of their home. The following factors come into play when looking for comparable properties: location, size, amenities, and condition. So let me ask you, everybody who just recently passed their real estate exam, what are some things that affect a home's value in the real estate terms? Obsolescence, what is it called? Functional obsolescence?
Like economical obsolescence and
yes.
functional, yeah.
Functional, economical obsolescence, functional obsolescence. These are very important terms to understand if you're taking a real estate exam. But if we wanted to explain that to somebody in layman's term, what is functional obsolescence? You have all of a sudden the district lines change and you're the only single family residence, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of shops surrounding your house. That would change things, but wouldn't that also be economic obsolescence in a sense? Could be. Maybe you have a fourplex in an all residential neighborhood. Could that affect it? Could. So all these different things factor into the home and how you're going to price things. So for example, let me ask you this. Condition. And one thing that they don't have here is year built. I don't understand that. Location, size, amenities, condition. Anyway, so condition, I would also put underneath that year built. If a house was sold in 2020, built in 2020 versus a house that was built in 1980, is there going to be a difference in perceived value in the two properties? Yeah, absolutely. So all things to very much so keep in mind when we are trying to price out properties. Okay, your turn. What are the current local market statistics in your targeted areas? Does anybody know days on market average for their given area? Awesome. Great. We should know these things. So I'm going to show you how you figure that stuff out right now. Somebody talking? I can't. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. Oh shoot, I think I'm supposed to pay my MLS dues. Ha! Oopsies. Please choose delivery method for a one-time registration. Somebody's talking, but it's not coming through. Is anybody else hearing what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Sounds like a
piano.
Yeah, seriously. Does anybody know who was talking? I have my thing minimized right now.
Lida.
Okay, you might have to turn off, if you have your video on, you might have to turn that off.
Do you guys hear me?
Can't hear you, Lita. So sorry. Sorry, Lita. It's not coming through. But in the interest of time, I just want to show everybody this really quickly. Maybe log off and log back in, Lita. And when I'm done showing this, we'll talk about it. Okay, is everybody on my MLS login page right now?
Yes.
Okay, so they've changed some things around, so stick with me a little bit. New trend line. The new report is a powerful tool that will allow you to generate market data for several years. Give you a great insight on market conditions and trends. Yay! So that sounds like that'll help us.
Someone
Can't hear you. I'm sorry. It's not coming through. Sorry. Anyway, okay, so moving forward. All right. So if, for example, just by looking at this, we wanted to search by zip code or area. Year, timeline, February, May, okay. Let me just see if they still have InfoSparks, because that is just so much easier to use. Neighborhood snapshot, InfoSparks replacement. That's kind of annoying. Okay. Alrighty, so I have a lot of very specific things that I put into this. So just so you know, what I put into here is I did zip code 90024, oops, which just went off. Okay. Year 2020 timeline. Okay, I did that. Oh, this is interesting. Price range minimum. All right, well, okay. So according to this, homes for sale has gone up in October and consistently has slowly been going up and up and up and up. We want to look a little bit further out. So in November, it was the highest in 2020. I want to change this real quick because I want 2021 update report. Okay, so we saw a huge drop in January 2021, and then we're slowly but surely coming up and up and up into April. We had quite a bit of home sales. We only had 4, excuse me, not even quite a bit. So we only had 4 homes for sale in 90024 in April 2021. We're able to see also days on market if we go down to here. So we can see in March of 2020 was 44 days on market. April has no data. May has 19 days on market. And apparently we have no data for these days, for these months, which either to me says one of a few things. Inventory was super, super low, or things are just selling like 1 day on the market, 2 days on the market, something like that. And that is typical, unfortunately, for what we're seeing right now in today's market. It's just insane. Like things are going faster than you can imagine. So month supply, it says 5 months. See, this is a little bit off. I don't really like this actually. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, maybe I have something inputted incorrectly. But if you wanted to see comparable month supply, it does give you that in 2020 versus 2021. In September 2021, we have 6 month supply. In September, wait, that's strange. Sorry, in 2020, we had a 6 month supply, and in 2021, we have a 5 month supply. So that to me says good for buyers. In August of 2020, we had a 3 month supply. In August of 2021, we had a five month supply. So it shows you that, frankly, it is getting a little bit better over the course of year over year. It has been seemingly to go up in the summer a little bit better than it was last year. But then again, right over here in September, it went down again a little bit. That could be partially because of the Delta variant. But as you can see, you can kind of take a look at some of the different market statistics. I think I need to kind of play with the quarters on this just a little bit more because I'm not really liking the data that it's showing right now, because I know that there was a couple more things that were for sale in a given time. Let me just see if I have, oh, I have condo co-op. Never mind. That's why. So, okay.
One question.
Yes.
Okay. This MLS.com, does it include everything in the market or anybody who makes a deal with these guys?
So pretty much, I believe, I don't know where they're getting these analytics from, but I have a feeling they're getting it from title, like the city data. It might just be representation of what's on the MLS, but for it to be extremely accurate, you'd want to talk to a title representative to see exactly how many homes have sold in a given year, months, etc. Title is going to be a little bit more accurate if this is not based off of title. I don't know the answer to that. They changed this. So I used to know for a fact what it used to be, but this is a little bit different. So just being honest there. But I just changed this from, I had the property type originally set to condo co-op. I was obviously looking for comparables for condos before. I just changed it right now to single family in 90024. As you can see, it has changed the statistics greatly. So homes for sale in 2021, in September, there's 18 homes for sale. In August, there was 27. In July, there was 40. In June, there was 38. In May, there was 42. So what is this trend telling us right here? From February over to September. to me, it's saying that, you know, typically the spring and summer months are going to be much more productive as far as homes for sale, listings, etc. It is very typical for homes to start to drop off a little bit in the fall and winter months. That's typical. We should expect that. I will say this, 18 homes for sale seems pretty low to me. Let's see, month supply of inventory. It's saying 4 month supply. That is heavily in the seller's favor. If we went down to 3 month supply, that is also heavily in the seller's favor. If we went 4 months, still in seller's favor. Anything at 6 months is considered balanced. Anything over 6 months is considered on the buyer side. Anything under 6 months is considered to be on the seller side. So these are things that we can articulate to our clients just by looking at some of this, you know, data that we can see. So let's see the average sales price, excluding April and August. Why am I saying excluding April and August? We obviously had some big sales in April and August that bumped up the average price. If we look at something like May, June, July, March, even February, we can kind of extrapolate that, you know, the average sales price in those neighborhoods is between 3 million and maybe 3,500,000 and 4 million. Or let's, actually, you know, if you went from February down to July, this is, I'm not really doing accurate math right now, but you could go maybe 2 million, 3 million to 4 million or something like that. But somewhere in that range is the exact average. And that'll be very, very, hold on, let me see this. Only 3 months. Okay. So that's even better. That's a little bit more exacting. So in any event, you can play with this and use this to your advantage. So whenever you're talking to people, you can sound very, very knowledgeable about the area. I would honestly, just because this is a new system, I would give a call into the MLS while you start playing with this a little bit, just to ask exactly how they're getting this data, if it's just based off of the MLS data, or if this is also factoring in, you know, off markets and stuff like that. But also very, very good information. I would also want to talk to them about the timeline for, you know, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. I understand what that's referring to, but you just want to make sure you got everything correct on this. But this is where I would get all this market data and all this information. If I was just talking generalities with, you know, a specific market. So good stuff. Everybody figure that out? So you're going to want to go right into your home page on your MLS, and you're going to want to go into the trend line or a snapshot. Very, very powerful information that we have here. Now, if we are talking to somebody specific and they're talking about, I want to sell my home and I live on Rochester off of Beverly Glen in 90024 in the Fairburn School District. Are we going to take an entire snapshot of 90024? Or are we going to be very, very hyper localized to maybe the homes that are just in, you know, the couple blocks surrounding it? Maybe, you know, if you go from Rochester in the Fairburn School District, if you're going, you know, west off of Beverly Glen, west from Beverly Glen versus east, are those two neighborhoods slightly price different? Yeah, they are. And you'll get to know that just by understanding the neighborhoods eventually. But for example, if you're east of Beverly Glen, off of Rochester or something like that, or off of Wilkins, you're going to be in a neighborhood that's slightly priced a little bit higher. If you go west of it, it's priced slightly lower, just a little bit, maybe a couple $100,000s here or there, but it is something different. So I wouldn't necessarily use a house that's, you know, on the east side of Beverly Glen versus the west side of Beverly Glen as a comparable. Unless that was the only option I had, I wouldn't use it. So just so you know. Average price per square feet, we want to figure that out. How many homes are on the market right now? We definitely want to know that, and all that fun stuff. Okay. Any questions about what I was just doing? Might have been a little bit confusing because it's a new system and I'm kind of just learning it myself right now. All good? Okay. All right, let me get somebody else in the class to read pricing principles and strategies. People in the classroom, can you see this on the board?
No.
No? It's hard. Is it hard to see, or is it you can't see anything?
I have my computer open. I can read it from the computer.
Absolutely. Thank you for electing yourself. So yes, let's do this page, pricing principles and strategies.
It's very important to grasp the following 6 critical strategies that set the stage for using pricing criteria effectively. These strategies are standards you need to bear in mind as you approach pricing any property. With practice, you will absorb and internalize them. They will become part of you as a real estate agent and make you an outstanding advisor to both buyers and sellers. Know what sells. There is little point to winning a listing if it does not sell. To get a home sold for the most money in the least amount of time, it must be priced in the market. There are 2 determining factors: price, condition. Competitively priced properties must present in the best possible condition outside and inside the home. The following graphic shows the combined selling power of the right price and great property condition.
Nice. I love it. So, okay. So when we're pricing a home, this little graphic right here is very, very important. I love it because it's very true. So we're doing price versus comps, below, above, and then great condition versus poor. Great condition versus poor condition. The percentage of buyers who will look at a property increases and decreases in direct proportion to the property's price compared to market value. Pricing above the market does not get you showings. Pricing at or just below the market does. So if we want to be accurately pricing a property, let me ask you this. We have 2 options. Well, let me give you 3 options, and I want to hear everyone's opinion on this. So my house is 2,000 square feet. Let's just easy math. My house is 1,000 square feet. My neighbor's house sold for $1 million, right? My client wants to list, my client and I came up with 3 different options, let's just say, in the CMA. One house, similar size, maybe a little bit newer in condition, sold for $1,200,000. Another house sold for $900,000. And the difference between these 2 other houses, one that sold for less and one that sold for more, the one that sold for less, the condition is horrible. It's a total teardown. The one that, comparable to my client's property sold for $1 million. And then the other property sold for $1 million. I think I said 200,000. Much better condition, built a little bit newer construction. Maybe it was built in the last 5 years or something like that. So my client and I, we were discussing, and we said, well, we could either list at $975,000, or we can list at $1 million, or we can list at $1,100,000. Which one do you think is the best price for the client? So remember, the direct comp, the perfect comparable, sold for $1 million. The other house that was in worse condition sold for $900,000 on the dot. The other house that was in much better condition sold for $1,200,000. So we could either list at $975,000, or we could list at $1 million exactly on the nose, or we could list at $1,100,000. All 3 of those are possible as far as sales prices.
Million and see what offers come in.
Okay, that's one. I like it. Definitely not a wrong answer. It's a direct comp. The other one just sold at that. I like it.
I think if you do 975 too, you'll create even more interest and then get into a bidding war situation potentially.
Oh shit. That's interesting. Maybe because we're only $25,000 off, right? 975 is $25,000 off from $1 million.
Yeah.
So yes, I would actually rather do the $25,000 below market value. And the reason for me is that if we remember my last statistic that we were using, it might actually be on the next page. It's not. Oh, well. Well, actually, let's go over this. So let's have this discussion after I read this next couple of graphs, because I think it's going to play in a lot of our answers once we're done. So we're talking about whether we're going to list it for $1 million or we're going to list it for 975. Each one is a great option. We don't know which one we're going to go with yet. So typically, whenever you list a house, it's going to take about 2 weeks for us to get that winning offer. And if we look at this little graphic that I have on the screen right now, the best chance to sell a home is when it first comes in on the market. I added a couple words there. Seller needs to be clear on this. There is a window of opportunity that opens and closes quickly. The following graphic depicts on how buyer interest climbs rapidly when a listing hits the market and declines after the first month. The first few weeks are make it or break it time for most listings. So if I have a house and I know that the first couple weeks I'm going to get the most interest possible, I'm going to want to make sure that the house is priced appropriately, and if not dead on accurate, I want it to be a little bit below market value just to be on the safe side. I don't know if, and unfortunately the graphic is not coming up that I was hoping for. Maybe it's on the next one. No, it's not. If you have a home that is priced perfectly in market, you're going to get about 60% of the buyer pool in that given market come to that open house, look at that listing, inquire about it, call about it, ask about it, etc. If you go 10% below market value, you're going to get about 75% of the market share coming to your property and looking at it. If you go even lower than that, 15% below market value, you're getting anywhere from between 80 and 90% of the market share coming to look at your property. Now, if you're a full 15% below market value, that is a pretty big gap that you're going to have to make up. So keep that in mind. I might not go that low, but yes, I typically would want to make sure that we are priced somewhere in the market. So let's keep talking about that a little bit more. Don't chase the market, price ahead of it. Your ability to be knowledgeable of the current market pays off when it comes to any kind of shifting market, whether shifting up, appreciating, or shifting down, depreciating, and even in a stable market, a rising market. In a rising market, sellers who feel time is on their side may price above market and hope that the market will catch up and bring them the price that they want. Provided the market continues to rise, sellers who want to cash in on the improving prices in the market are still well advised to price at the market to get the sale now and move on with their lives. So as you can see over here, time on the market, where it's average home price, price the seller wants. When they get it, it's going to be a couple weeks on the market, and they'll probably get it though. Okay, a declining market. When prices are falling, sellers make a huge mistake by pricing too high, hoping to attract the offer that they want, and thinking that they will drop the price later if the strategy doesn't work. The reality is that most sellers who do this never correct enough to keep up with the pricing reality. Sellers who price right will get the buyers while the listing that's chasing the market down will take longer to sell. Okay, let me give you an example. I could have taken a listing in Malibu. Could have gotten it. I truly, honestly felt that this home was worth $2.5 million. There was another parcel, another property that was attached to the sale of this home that I think on paper was like 4 acres of land. Sounds like a lot, right? 4 acres of land in Malibu attached to another home. So you have 2 APNs situated right next to each other. On paper, gosh, it sounds like I could sell this house, forget 2.5, maybe I could sell it for 4 million. Gosh, right? Right? Wrong. The issue is that the actual land that was usable for the property was maybe a half acre. Everything else was just hillside and rolling hills, and you weren't going to build on that. It's not really feasible. You could maybe make a couple of trails, maybe do some landscaping on the side of the hill, build like a winery or something like that. Yeah, maybe you could do that, but it's not really usable property. And unless you invested $500,000 to $1 million on landscaping 4 acres of land, it's not even usable, frankly. So I took that out of the equation. I felt like it didn't make sense. So again, I could have taken the listing at $2,500,000 with an additional $300,000 for the 4 acres of land, right? So 5, 6, 7, 8. So they wanted around 2.8 million. I felt that they wouldn't get it. I was honest about it. I'm sorry. I don't think you're going to be able to get that price. If I could get it, I would. You know, if I have to put up thousands and thousands of dollars in marketing fees and expenses, I don't want to do it for a property I don't fully think is going to sell. Seller didn't really particularly like that. He ended up listing it with some other agent who's kind of new. She was part of like a big team. He liked that. And they listed it for, I think, $2,800,000. Well, it's sat on the market for about 2 months already. This guy's nuts, so I feel bad for the lady who's dealing with this, the agent who's dealing with him. He ended up raising the price to $3,800,000 something, which I don't understand his rationale there. They didn't get any bites at 2,800,000, so they raised the price. Go figure. Unfortunately, he's never going to get this price. First of all, it should have been at $2,500,000 to begin with. He listed it at 2.8. Then he still was hoping that he was going to get more than 2.8, so he ended up raising it again. Now, when he comes to the realization that he's going to have to sell this property for much less, do you think he's going to be able to do a full $1 million price reduction? Probably not. He's probably going to be like, why do I have to? In fact, it needs to be more than that. So the point is watch out for those listings, because you might never get them to reduce far enough to get them their house actually sold. Because in this graphic, you might notice it says price the seller wants, the home values are falling. Price correction, home values are still falling. Price correction, home values are still falling. They never end up getting to that magic number. So keep that in mind whenever we're dealing with those type of people. So with all that said, if I have an opportunity, and especially in this market, where we're starting to see a slight rise in inventory, not much, but it's happening. Do I want to price it right on the nose, or do I want to maybe give myself a $25,000 buffer?
Buffer.
Yeah, give yourself a buffer. It's only $25,000. If you get enough interest into the property, you're going to create a bidding war anyway. And in that price point, $25,000 is barely even a half a percentage. So yeah, you have no problem getting a buyer to end up coming up to $1 million, or even $1,075,000, or maybe even $1,100,000, like we were talking about before. So the point is, it is not inconceivable that somebody in a bidding war would end up paying $125,000 over ask price in a neighborhood where, frankly, $125,000 would still be in line with pricing in that neighborhood. It's only a couple percentage points off. And frankly, we don't know if the market's still rising. Technically, it's still rising. Even though we're seeing additional homes coming on market, it's still in an upward trajectory because it's still not meeting the demand of buyers. So keep that in mind whenever we're pricing something. You want to make sure that you're in line with it and take into consideration potential market shifts. There's a lot of information that's coming out right now that is showing that there may be a little bit of a shift come, maybe after January, maybe the beginning of spring. We're not quite there yet, but I think it's something to keep an eye on. So I would have no problem going $25,000 below market value and going from there. Okay, good stuff. Let's get some people to chime in on this. We have some scripts. Be honest. Here's a short script to address pricing honestly. If I could get somebody to elect themselves, that's even better.
I read it.
All right, let's do that. And I will be the seller that you're talking with.
Do you want me to tell you the truth? Hold on. Am I? Yeah. Do you want me to tell you the truth, or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear?
I just want you to lie to me. So perfect. So yes, so that is a really great, just a very simple, straight to the point, honest script right there. Do you want me to tell you the truth, or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? And I've used that in multiple situations. So if the seller insists on a higher than market price, get the agreement now that if you have not had a bona fide offer in a reasonable short period of time, you will reduce the price to your recommended sales price. So, okay, so we just had that conversation. Do you want me to tell you the truth, or do you want me to tell you what I wanted to hear? No, tell me what you want to hear. Let's say you tell me, oh, I think your house is worth $1 million. I respond back to you, you know what? I appreciate that. I looked at the data. It all makes sense. I really want to list it for 1,100,000. My mechanic cousin in Minnesota told me that he's done a lot of internet research and said that it has to be at that price or else I'm crazy. So I want to listen to my mechanic cousin in Montana and not you, the professional real estate agent. What would you say after that? What's the next script?
Okay, well, I understand. But the first few weeks your home is on the market are the most critical and will attract the most serious buyers. If we don't get a bona fide offer in this time, the market is telling us the home is overpriced. If after 3 weeks this is what's happening, do you agree to reduce the price to my recommended price to meet market demands?
You got a good point there. My mechanic cousin in Montana doesn't really know much about real estate. So yeah, okay, fine. I'll do that. But I still think it's going to sell. So yeah, so perfect. That's it. That's exactly what you would want to say in that situation. Listen, I will take the listing at the price that you want, but it's my professional opinion that if we don't price it correctly, we'll have to do some form of a correction. So before we get into signing this up, let's agree right now that you want to list it for $1,100,000. Great. But if we don't receive an offer at $1,100,000 or an offer that you choose to accept, we will agree that we will reduce it back down to $1 million. How does that sound? Okay, sounds good. Great. And then I would also probably tell them that I'm going to take it off the market for like 2 weeks. Why do I want to take it off the market for 2 weeks? Which is also wasting even more time.
So it doesn't look like it's like a stale listing?
Round of applause. Yes. So it doesn't look like a stale listing. I can't tell you how many times I've done this myself as a real estate agent. I've looked at a property. I'm like, wow, that's overpriced. Oh, wow. And I'm looking at the property. I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's only overpriced by $50,000. Okay, I guess. Weeks go by, month goes by, and they just say price change. And it still shows 150 days on market, almost a half year on the market. And they correct it by $75,000. So it's actually now underpriced for the market value, but it still shows that many day on market. What do you think I'm going to do with my buyer if I'm writing an offer on that property?
Lowball.
I'm going to lowball the out of them because I know I can. And I've done it in multiple situations. I've gotten a house $50,000 below ask price when the house itself was about $20,000 below market value. So absolutely. And why is that? Because when I asked the agent, all right, great. So how many offers do you have? We don't. Oh, of course. How many showings do you have this week? We don't. Of course. It's very easy. But, if I take the property off the market for 2 weeks, cancel the listing, take it off the market, I rearrange the pictures a little bit. So instead of this picture, I'm using this picture as the main picture. I always figure out if I have 1 or 2 or 3 main pictures that I can use. I rearrange the pictures. I change up the verbiage a little bit. I put it back on the market. And how many days does it show on market at that point? 0 days on market. So it does a psychological thing for a lot of buyers and agents, frankly. It says 0 days on market. The picture is not the same picture that it was before. It's just a different location of the house, maybe. It looks like a brand new listing. And for the people who maybe even saw it before, they may forget, just because you rearranged the pictures a little bit, that this was the same house that was on the market previously. So definitely something to keep in consideration when you are taking an overpriced listing, or even if you take it at all, for that matter, and you're working with buyers. Okay, your turn. Pricing strategies. So let's just have an open conversation about this, just because we have some people in class, some people are on the call. So work with a partner. Put the essence of the critical pricing strategies below in your own words. Take no more than 1 minute of explanation per point. Challenge yourself to communicate only the basic idea. Refer to the preceding pages as needed. Okay. So can somebody jump out and tell me factors that drive price?
Location.
Location. Perfect. Thank you, Alyssa. That's awesome. Chris Taylor, what are some other factors that control price?
Like the year it was built.
Year built, absolutely, 100%. Christina, what are some other things that could drive price? No worries. Okay, so for example, I think we did condition, location,
contribution.
Pardon?
Contribution.
In what regard?
Or amenities.
Sure, amenities. Yeah, absolutely, amenities. Yeah, this house has a pool with a convertible dance floor that you could put over it. You know, I don't know, whatever. It also has a gazebo in the back. It's a beautifully landscaped backyard where the other property doesn't. Absolutely, that will affect price, 100%. Okay, let's ask, what sells? What are some things that sell? That's kind of similar as the other one, location, condition, etc., whatever. What the sellers can and can't control. What are some things that sellers can and cannot control?
Market.
Market conditions. Can't control that. Is what it is. What about
you can control like how your house is presented. So, you know, with staging or other like the photography, et cetera, how it looks online can draw people in.
Absolutely. That is something that we can control. We can control the condition. So the only things that we really can control as a seller's agent or as a seller, et cetera, is price and condition. Everything else you can't change. You can't. The only thing you can do is price and condition. That's it. Everything else, it's all market conditions and location. You can't change your location unless you're talking about mobile homes, which I don't think we are. So everything else, it is very, very static. You can't change it. So very important to articulate that to our sellers. The window of opportunity. What is the likelihood, even in a seller's market, a buyer's market, whatever, when are we going to get the most traction or traffic through our listing? Within the first
2 weeks.
2 weeks, absolutely. First 2 weeks. Maybe in a buyer's market, it might take 3 to 4 weeks. That's really rare. You really have to see almost like a big bubble burst, which we're talking about. I don't see it happening personally. Personally, I don't see it. Interest rates are still very low. Inventory is still very low. These two things are playing on each other. So it's driving a lot of buyers to, you know, go, hey, whoa, interest rates are so low, it's almost free money. In fact, in a lot of cases, it beats inflation, depending on your financial picture. So yeah, a lot of people are interested in buying right now because of that. A lot of sellers are interested in selling because of, you know, the homes prices. But not a lot of sellers are taking advantage of the opportunity because of the current economic, political, and health, you know, climate right now, frankly. So it's kind of creating a perfect microcosm of an economy for us. Okay. Pricing is about market movement. What could we say about that?
Supply and demand.
Yeah, totally. And right now, is supply up or down?
Down.
Down.
Down. Supply is down. So what does that say to us?
Prices are up.
Yeah.
Boom. So who benefits the most in this market?
Sellers.
Boom. Love it. Love it. Good stuff. Awesome. Absolutely. And now finally, don't chase the market. What is important about not chasing the market?
We don't know how to predict the market in the future. It's not a for sure thing. So you just have to go with what the market is right now.
Absolutely. And better yet, is it sometimes to even be a little bit below the current market? Yeah, just to drive interest. Don't go too low. If it's a $2 million house, don't put it on the market for $1 million. But yeah, absolutely. You want to be able to make sure that you price it attractively enough that you get the most interest right out the gate. And more importantly, if it's a downward, trajectory kind of market, you want to make sure that you are priced low enough to make sure you don't chase the market. So if right now the market's saying the house should sell at $1 million, but we're in a downward, trajectory, we're going to definitely probably list it at 950, maybe even 900 if it's a really, really scary market. But I don't think we've been there in a while, and I don't think we will anytime soon. But yes, absolutely, very important stuff. Very cool. Okay, the CMA, comparative market analysis, one of my favorite things to do. Okay, a CMA is a process by which property, well, I don't have to read the whole thing. The point is when you do a CMA, you want to find homes that are in like kind of each other. What is like kind? You want to make sure that properties are within, as far as square footage of a home, I like to be within 5 to 10% of the other property. If I could get almost dead on accurate, yeah, I'm going to use that one. But really, you're going to probably have to go 10% below, 10% above, and find the ones that are close enough. Make sense? Year built, we want to do the same thing. 5 to 15%. Maybe do 10 years down, 10 years up. Something like that. You want to be within the same decade thereof. All that stuff is extremely important. But in any event, so what we're going to want to do is search the MLS for properties that correspond to the subject property, the one that you're pricing, using the 4 main criteria: location, size, amenities, and condition. Select a small number of recently sold properties and properties pending sale that you believe represent the closest comparison to the seller's property. The number of comparables available will be impacted by market conditions. So this says to use properties that are pending. That might be very necessary in a market such as the one that we're in right now, mainly because there might not be enough sales data. You really want like 6 properties in a best case scenario to use in a comparative market analysis. But in many instances, you might only have, if you're trying to do, maybe a 3-month period of time and be super, super accurate, you might only have like 3 or 4 properties that have sold. Very well possibly happen. In that case, we might want to expand our criteria a little bit just to be able to get a couple more properties in there. Hope that makes sense. And then there's like some other tricky stuff that you can do. For example, there's only 4 properties have sold, so I had to go back a full year. By going back a full year, there was something sold a year ago, but the market has gone up by 5%. So I might add 5% to that person's price just to kind of catch up to what's happening right now in today's market. I don't know if that makes sense, but you might want to do that as well. But frankly, sometimes it might help you in your discussion with them why they want to come down a little bit lower. So just to keep that in mind. Okay. Then you want to decide on price to recommend to your seller that takes it into account the comparables and your seller's motivation and goals. Review the data in a simple, readable format with your seller to show why you've chosen the price you are recommending and how their property compares. Has anybody ever done a CMA on their own? You have. I see you. Yes. Are you raising your hand to talk, or you've done a CMA?
I have. I used to do some wholesaling stuff.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, CMAs are going to be a huge part of your business. Whether you're working with buyers or sellers, you're going to be doing CMAs. If you're working with a buyer, you're going to do a CMA to justify the price that they're about to shell out for any given home. If you're working with a seller, you're going to try to justify the list price so you can get their home sold. So two different purposes, kind of a common goal. You're trying to get the sale and make sure that we're all in line with everything. So to do a CMA, I highly recommend using Cloud Streams. It's Cloud CMA. It's also through the MLS. It's my favorite one by far. I'm going to try to see if I can do a quick one for us on here. I'm not going to do a full CMA, but I'm going to kind of show you the steps that you would go through to, make a CMA. 1 second. Can everybody see my screen right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
On the MLS? Okay. So when I open up the MLS, this is just so you know, everybody's, tabs can be a little bit different. Right now, my mouse is on hot sheets. If I wanted to move hot sheets over to where save search is, I can do that easily. So just keep in mind what you see on your dashboard might be different from what you're looking at on mine. Take a moment to look around and make sure you're in the right place. Okay, so what I'm referring to is the Quick Links tab. Quick Links. I'm right over here, Quick Links. Could be up here, could be down there. It's somewhere on the page though. Quick Links. So I'm going to go into Quick Links and I'm going to look for Cloud CMA. I don't see it. I don't see it. Oh, wait, there's a tab over here. There's 1 through 4. If I click that, I see some other stuff. Oh, yay, I found it. So keep in mind, you might have to click around in Quick Links just a little bit to find Cloud CMA. Go ahead and you click on that. And it brings you to your recent reports. If you have none, you won't have any, so don't worry about it. This just shows the most recent, 5 reports that I've done. I've done quite a few, but let's say I'm going to create a new report. You have options that you can do: a property report, a buyer tour, a flyer. I actually really enjoy doing the buyer tour one. Because if you're seeing multiple properties, it gives you a nice little easy to use kind of sheet where it goes, for notes and stuff like that. It's nice to hand over to your buyer if you want to do that. I don't do it every single time, but it's nice. I used to do it when I first started. But we're talking about a CMA though. More often than not, even if I'm working with a buyer, I'm going to be using the CMA tab. And so right when you get into this, by the by, if this doesn't jump around with me, because it might do that, please let me know if I start talking about something that doesn't make any sense to anybody. Hold on, here we go. So under client, it's going to be Ignite class. My subject property, I think I like to, which one do I like to do? 2201 Linda, no, Linda, Florida. Okay, so I think I was supposed to, 2201 Linda, Florida Drive. I think I sold this house 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe. Anyway, so this is a house that I had sold previously. I think it had 6.5 baths, but it doesn't matter. But anyway, we have this. It's 5,200 square feet, 6 bedrooms. It's residential. Any advanced information that we have, great. It says that it's just under a half acre of land. Year built in 2018. Great stuff. Now, if I really wanted to be quick and dirty about this, I can just go ahead and click quick and dirty by proximity. Automatically find listings near the subject property, get at least 10, go back 1 year, et cetera, et cetera. I can go ahead and use that if I'm really in a bind, but it's not going to be as accurate if I went into the MLS, went into a search tab, looked for listings, single family, and did it this way. So this is the best way that we could possibly look for a CMA or do comparables. We would go into the search tab first. We would go click into sold properties. We don't really care about active properties other than that's our competition. We might want to go into pending, active under contract. Those are some things that we might want to click into it. But for right now, let's ignore that. Zip code, I want to do Bel Air 90077. Remember, we had a 6-bedroom house, right? So I'm going to go 5 bedrooms to 7 bedrooms max. I'm pretty sure it was 6.5 baths. So let's just do 5 to 7. And forget, how many square feet did we have on here? We have 5,200 square feet. So let's see, we're going to do 5,200 square feet, and we are going to subtract 15%. 5,200 minus 15% equals 4,420. Cool number. So let's just do 4,400. I'll fudge it a little bit. And we're going to go to max 5,200 plus 15%, which is, by the way, 780 square feet. You're going to go 5,980. Let's just do 6,000 just to round it all out. We have one property, and that's it. Well, unfortunately, we need more than that. Remember, I said we might run into a situation where we don't have enough homes that have sold in that price range or that exact same criteria. So let's go see what we can do here. Okay, so we wanted sold. Where are we going from? We're only going 6 months back. Let's go to a full year. Apply that. How does it change? We got a lot more. Yay. Okay, now I know that we are on Linda Flora Drive. That area is going to be much different from other properties. So this one is on Roscommare, not exactly the same. This one's on Onzina, not really the same. So unfortunately, nothing has sold in that area with a view that I can see coming up right off the bat. So, okay, let's see if we can expand this a little bit more. Let's go down to 4 bedrooms. Let's go down to 4 baths. That's Stone Canyon. Don't really want to use Stone Canyon because I know the area, not exactly the same. But okay, let's go ahead and use Milldale. I'm going to go ahead and not use Cassiano. 4.4. That's on Roscommare. I'll use it. I guess I'll use Stone Canyon. I guess I'll use Stone Canyon. And Davenport, no, I don't want to use that. And just for fun, looks like a brand new construction one. I'll throw that in there just for comparison's sake. I was really hoping that we would find some stuff. Yeah, let's use Bel Air Road. Okay, so let's view the listings. So I clicked view listings. I selected a few of them. I'm going to say hide unselected. Now I know the house pretty well, the one that I'm referring to. It's a fairly new construction. So I was looking for the homes that have been built within the last little bit, or at least looked like they have been. And so I'm going to go ahead and click these. And also, here's a little fun tab over here. You can go ahead and go create a CMA. Just click that. And all of a sudden, this screen is going to pop up. I'm going to say ignite class 2201 Linda Flora Drive. Boom. Same property popped up. Over here are the exact listings that I selected to use as our criteria. All I have to do now is click fetch listings. And the screen is going to change. So I think I have to switch it over. And now I'm on this page. So we've here's our subject property. Here are the other homes. These are the closest homes that I could find next to the subject property that are in similar square footage, similar, year built, similar bed bath count, etc. I see it where they're all located. I'm okay with that. Ideally, if I was really doing a real CMA, I would be a little bit more exacting, and I would expand the criteria much more, but for the interest of time, I'm not going to get in too deep into that. And now I have all of these listings over here available for us to look at. I know the property quite well. I'm okay with this. Stone Canyon looks very similar as far as the layout. Has a nice little pool, has a seating area, great outdoor space. Love it. Great, perfect. 2,600 square foot lot. That's similar to the square footage of our lot. Perfect. I'm digging it. Stone Canyon. Fairly newer construction. I like it. Okay, has views. Ours has views. Works for me. A little more private, frankly, than ours. Doesn't seem like they have anybody, as neighbors sitting right on top of them. That could be different if we saw it on purpose. I'll use it. Bel Air Road has nice remodeling done on the interior. Could be a little bit more updated, but as far as location, it's kind of similar. I'll mess with it. I probably would try to find something a little bit closer, but that's fine. Milldale Drive, you have to take the same street that you get to my house to get here. I'm okay with it. Seems like it could have been a little bit more updated than our property. And frankly, it's a nice little gated compound. So I might not use this, frankly, but for the interest of the class, I will use it. And anyway, so my point is I would go ahead and I would look at all the different properties, see how they compare. And if I like all the comparables, I'll use them. Then I'm going to go over here into where it says 2201 Linda Flora, the subject property. You notice there's a bubble that says set price. I'm going to click price guide and net sheet. So based off of the sold comparables, we have a high of 10,400,000 and a low of 4,096,000. That's telling us that the average square footage that's being sold in these neighborhoods is $1,161 per square foot. I like that number, actually. I think that would hold up true right now in today's market for this property. So I'm okay with it. So I'm going to go ahead and click. Yeah, I'm down. So we're going to probably list it at anywhere between 5,856,000 and 6,218,000. Now that's a pretty big spread, right? So what we would do in that situation is once we make this CMA, we're going to go down and we're going to click Customize Report. It's going to take us to this page. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, there we go. And it's going to give me all these little tabs. A title page, contact me, map of all the listings, summary of comparable properties, listing chapter, details, photos, first dozen on one page, adjustments, analysis chapter, comparable property statistics. And you can actually click into these and see what they look like ahead of time, just so you have an idea of what you're presenting to your client. So again, it gives you a nice, very clear, concise, hey, this is the average price. Here's the lowest, here's the highest. We think you should be around $161 per square foot. Maybe I might recommend to just be priced at $1,100 per square foot exactly. So we are in a nice, kind of happy medium, not too hot, not too cold kind of situation. Average day on market, 95 days. I would have a conversation with them. Do you have 95 days or do you need to be out in 30 days or 60 days? that's going to affect our pricing strategy. So anyway, these are all very important tabs. So make sure you're looking at these when you're going through it. Closing chapter. I think if anybody remembers from the last class that we had, I was saying that I don't really do a pre-listing package. What I'll do is a CMA that has a lot of my pre-listing package stuff already built inside of it. So marketing action plan, if I click on that, tells you exactly what I'm going to do for my marketing. What are the few services we can provide as part of marketing your home? Before we get started, the first step is to sign the listing agreement. Great. First week, schedule time to shoot professional property photos, social media presence, custom property website and SEO, advise on staging if needed or not, aerial drone, enter into the MLS, put a for sale sign, install a lockbox, determine and open, blah, 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 blah. It says I'm going to pitch the listing to 4 different brokerages in Beverly Hills, Rodeo Realty, The Agency, Hilton and Highland, and Coldwell Banker. Work with my brokerage and send out to all Keller Williams brokerages worldwide. If you keep going down, my mouse is frozen for some reason. I don't know why. Come on. Come on. I saw it move. Wait. There we go. Okay. And then this goes what I'm going to do in the second week, third week, ongoing activities, showing properties, follow up on internet leads, monitor market conditions, etc. So if you remember the last class, we were talking about our pre-listing package and all that kind of stuff. I already have it built into the CMA. So I like to use the CMA for that purpose. Intelligent pricing and timing. You might remember this is my favorite little graph that I like to show my clients. Can everybody see what I'm showing right now? Yeah, okay, good. So this class talks about percentage of buyers in the market. 60% will look at it if it's at market value. Under 10% under market value, you'll get 75% of the market share. 15% below market value, you'll get approximately 90% of the market share. However, if we go above market value, just 10% above market value, you're only getting 30% of the market share. 15% above market value, you're only getting 10% of the market share. So it's very important that we price the home appropriately. This goes over it in depth in my actual CMA. Talks about staging your home, showings, open house checklist, a moving checklist, features that sell. Now, one thing you might notice, I have suggested list price. Be very careful. If you're going to use my strategy where I use my CMA as my pre-listing package, don't include this. Why do I not want them to know the price if I'm sending this out to them before I meet with them?
They got the highest price.
Pardon?
He doesn't want the highest price.
Right. And they might shop it around. They might go, well, you say it's worth up to 6 million, but my other broker says that it's worth 6,300,000. Of course they're going to do that. They're going to see that we sent them this. They're going to say, well, we think we can do better. Da, 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 da. They'll try to just get the listing, etc. So what I will do is I will take this page and I will exclude it. And of course, my mouse is freezing again. So very simple. I go to suggested list price. I just click the minus and it automatically takes it out of the presentation. So now what I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to send them, hey, here are the averages of what homes sell for in your neighborhood. Here are the homes that I use to come up with this number. Here are the details that you should look at that might differentiate from your house versus the other house. I want you to study all of this, but more importantly, I want you to study what I actually do as far as my marketing capabilities. And then when we meet tomorrow, we'll discuss pricing when we're together. Sound good? Sounds great. And then that way they have to meet with you to get the price out of you. They can extrapolate from the average, sales price, but price per square foot, but it's okay. That's fine. We want them to have at least some idea of what we're referring to, but don't give it to them all. Plus, we also want to see the property and the interior and all that kind of stuff, because depending on the condition, what's the one thing that could affect price? Condition. So depending on the condition, we're going to recommend one number or another. But anyway, long story short, if I'm all done with that, all I do is I click publish report. And it'll take you to this page while it's loading.
So you recommend emailing this to the client ahead of time or just bringing it with you at the listing presentation?
I have two answers for that. Yes and yes. So I would do both, depending on who the client is, and this is where feel comes into play. I don't want to say that there's one right way or another, because I don't think that there's a perfect answer for that. I typically will send it to them ahead of time and just say, hey, here's some information I'd love for you to review before we meet. It has some really great information based on blah, 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 whatever. But if I feel like it's a person who's already told me that they are interviewing 3 other brokers, I wouldn't send it to them off the bat. I would bring it with me. I would have the price printed out in my copy. I'd make 2 additional copies and I'd hand it over to them. And I would say, well, here's the stuff that I'd like us to review today in our listing presentation. And then I would ask, how many, realtors have you met with yet? I get an idea who my competition is, depending on who it is. I might adjust my approach or not. But typically, if it's somebody who I know is interviewing a bunch of different agents, I would probably bring this with me and do it in person. Just because I don't want to give too many of my cards out, so they could use it to, negotiate with another realtor, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. So, okay. So now we have the CMA that's ready to rock and roll. I can view the PDF. I can email the report. I could copy a PDF link. I could just click on it and open it up and print it out in full. If you go back to the CMA page, here you can see all the CMAs that I've done over. I've already done over 118 CMAs in my career so far. So yes, I'm very, very familiar with making CMAs. Now, keep in mind, this should be not done as quickly as I just did it. It should be something where you painstakingly go through house by house by house, square footage versus square footage, bed bath count versus bed bath count, condition versus condition, amenities such as, is it a completely gated, compound where you have to go through a driveway gate just to get to the courtyard, and then there's another pedestrian gate just to get into the house. Like, that's going to be a different house versus a garage that you just pull into and walk into the property. You know what I'm saying? So there's going to be different pluses and minuses that you're going to want to compare the properties to. But in all, it should take you no more than 30 minutes to an hour to create one of these, and all that fun stuff. Sounds good?
Question.
Yes, answer.
So, like I said before, at the beginning of class, I have a similar situation. The seller has multiple, I would say about at least 3 other brokers with some buyers, but it's off market. And my meeting went well, and I left class to go speak to her again. So we're bringing 2 buyers on Tuesday. Do I still bring a CMA or a marketing plan, or just wait because it's off market?
So has she said what she's willing to sell it for?
She wants 5. Rod thinks because of he did the comps, it could get anything between 4 and 4.5.
Interesting. I would talk with Rod. I would talk with Rod. Huh? Sorry.
We didn't make a definite price yet.
Gotcha. I would, I don't want to step on, your mentor's toes and stuff. So I would defer to him. He's definitely an experienced agent. So I would say whatever, he feels is appropriate. I haven't talked to the lady, so I don't know your rapport, how you're getting along with them. So I don't want to advise you on something where I feel honestly personal touch and relationship really matter in these situations. I would absolutely, when I meet with her, go, so just out of curiosity, would we be double ending this, or do you have an agent who would be representing you? I'd want to know that. Another thing that I would want to know is what she feels it's worth, which she's already told you. If we were sitting down and she said that, Yeah, well, no, I guess she doesn't want to list it. So yeah, I don't know. For me, I might not go over pricing, to be honest, because one, she's sounds like she's not in reality as far as what her house is worth. And two, if there's two other agents kind of circling her as well, you got a lot of competition that you're going up against. So it's kind of like, well, if I don't have a listing right now, I don't have an active buyer right now, there's no harm in me, searching for a buyer for this lady. For me personally, I wouldn't, I would go after it, but I wouldn't put too much time and effort into it if it sounds like, one, she's overpriced, and two, there's other agents kind of circling it. It's a personal question that you have to ask yourself. I know for me, I'm looking for more tangible listings that I could actually sign and service. I do have a couple off markets that I'm lightly kind of passing around to people. Like, I'm supposed to set up a showing for this Friday for a gentleman who's in our office, but I know that she's never going to list it. And I know that, she's she's only about like $100,000 overpriced. So that's still actually within the realm of what I could expect for the home to be sold for. So I don't know. I am entertaining this lady, but I don't know. It's up to you, to be honest. You know the person better than I do. I don't want to tell you something. Yes, definitely share your pricing strategy with them, and then all of a sudden she shuts the door on you. You know what I mean? So I talked to Rod. He's an experienced agent. He has a feel for the deal. He's spoken with her. I would defer to him, frankly, on what the best course of action is.
It makes sense. Thank you.
No worries. Cheers. Those are tough, everybody. I'm not going to lie. That's something where you're going to have to make personal game time business decisions, so to speak. Is it worth your time to chase after this person? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I often try to simplify things in terms of dating. If there's a girl that I really, really like, gosh, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my entire life, but she has 10 guys circling her, and she's flat out told me, hey, I'm going on a date with a different guy every single week. I can fit you in on Saturday. I might not go on that date. So my point is, you kind of have to ask yourself, do you want to be chasing after one person, or do you want to be chasing after multiple people who might be willing to actually sign with you or go on a date with you, so to speak? Hope that makes sense. It's a personal thing that you have to answer for yourself, though. All righty. I hope that doesn't sound like I'm just trying to I don't want to answer that. You deal with it, but it's kind of the truth. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, or especially your own, if it's, potentially a really good listing for you. Okay. So that was a CMA. Are there any questions on making a CMA? I know I went through that lightning fast. It probably went right over a lot of people's heads, because I know it sure went over mine when I first learned about CMAs. But was there any questions in regards to that, the process?
I have a quick question, Jared.
Yeah.
On your list you have of what you'll do once you have the listing signed, there was a bullet. First of all, is that customizable? Did you come up with that list, or is that something that's provided, etc.?
Yes, I customized it. I took our general marketing list, and I think it was like 10 points, and I expanded them. So 1 point may have been internet marketing, and I expanded it to on social media online presence, custom property website with search engine optimization. And so I expanded it a little bit, because I wanted it to, I didn't want to just say, we do internet marketing. Great. Yeah. What the hell does that mean? Right. And a lot of other agents are going to say, we're amazing at internet marketing, and just leave it at that. I want to actually expand on that. One, because we have a lot of tech people who live in the area. And two, it just sounds like I'm doing way more than I actually am. Well, actually, that's not true. I am doing all those things, but I'm not spelling it out to them. Another thing that I have is we used to have, I don't know if I want to expand on that a little bit more, but unfortunately, I don't know how far along they've gotten into it with our company. But we were getting into predictive analytics with like a lot of our search engine optimized, marketing and all that kind of stuff. And we were going to basically have like an AI computer kind of helping with our marketing capabilities. I haven't heard too much more about that. So that used to be part of my CMA thing. I took that out recently because I haven't heard too much more about that. But that was a really big seller for me earlier. That was huge. A lot of people love that. So anyway, the point is, no, I customized it. I took something that already existed and I expanded on it. So it wasn't like,
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's great. And then one of the points listed was like sharing their listing with other brokerages, and you specifically named a few. Is that because you have relationships with them, or how did you, is that a standard thing you do? I'm just unsure.
So, do I have a relationship with those brokerages? Sure. Is it that close? No, not really. Am I friends with like the manager? No, I'm not. But do I know somebody who works at Hilton and Highland? Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Do I know somebody who works at, Coldwell Banker? Yeah, quite a few. The point is yes, I would go contact those brokerages. I'd ask when is their next office meeting. I have a new listing coming up and I'd love to give them first shot at it, so to speak. And more often than not, the office manager will say, yeah, sure, come to our office meeting. You have something, you want to give it to us first. Absolutely. And just like when Josh does his power sessions, all other brokerages have their own version of that. It might be slightly different. But, for example, at Rodeo Realty, they had, I think it was like once a week, they'd have like an all office meeting. And it was just about new things that are happening in the real estate world, new tech stuff that's coming up. And then we'd have an open forum for off-market opportunities, coming soons, and all that fun stuff. And I know for a fact that they'd be happy to have another person come into the office and say, hey, everybody, I got a new listing coming up, not on the market yet. Just wanted to let everybody know that it's that it's about to be on the market in 1 week. If you have anybody who's interested in seeing it while it's off market, please feel free to contact me. They're happy to have me come into the office and do that. So I would just reach out to an office manager at one of those offices and just say, hey, can I pitch it? If they say no, I'll say, well, hey, great. Can I give you an email that your office manager can blast out so they know that there's an off market that's coming on market in a week? And it's something that simple.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions in regards to that? Awesome. Very cool. Okay, so we're pretty much rocking and rolling. That was the end of the class. Before we go, again, I'm going to ask if anybody has any other questions, maybe not related to the CMA, something outside of the scope. Now is a great opportunity to ask those questions. You guys are all stars. I love it. Well, if that is it, then last chance? No? Okay. Thought I heard somebody. All righty. Well, thank you all very, very much for coming. We will be back in session on Monday. I'm not sure if I'm going to be in person or not yet. Once I do start going in person again, I'll just kind of stay in person for the remainder. But for right now, with the whole variants going around, I have a party coming up. I don't want to get sick before it and all that fun stuff. But anyway, thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your week. And yeah, go kick some ass.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.